If you grew up in the UK any time from the 70s to the early 2000s, there's a good chance you passed a Little Chef on some long, rainy drive. Maybe you even stopped in for the Olympic breakfast with those 2 eggs, bacon, sausage, mushrooms, beans, hash browns, and a tomato that looked like it had survived both world wars. But today, Little Chef is gone. Once a familiar sight along Britain's roads, serving up hot meals to generations of travelers, it's now little more than a memory. It was a slow, quiet unraveling that turned a national staple into a relic, and how it all fell apart is a story that's more bizarre and more tragic than you'd probably expect. Little Chef was founded in 1958 by entrepreneur Sam Alper, with the very first restaurant opening in Reading. Alper had been inspired by the compact American diners he saw while traveling, noting that they were places designed for the motorist era, quick to build, and even quicker to serve. The first location had just 11 seats, but it didn't take long for the idea to take off. Drivers wanted convenience, they wanted comfort food, they wanted something hot, cheap, and familiar. Little Chef delivered exactly that. The result was an explosion. By the late 80s and early 90s, Little Chef had over 400 locations across the UK, blanketing major A roads and motorways like a red and white rash. That tiny roadside cafe had transformed into the UK's most recognizable travel stop, serving greasy breakfasts, lukewarm tea, and somehow a strange sense of comfort. Kids would pile out of cars while parents ordered full English breakfasts at 3 in the afternoon. It was affordable, it was predictable, and in its own way, it was loved. Part of its success came down to timing. Britain was in its car culture golden age, with motorways expanding and families hitting the road like never before. Little Chef became part of that ritual, right up there with service stations, boiled sweets, and Radio 2 humming in the background. It also had a distinctive charm. Red vinyl booths, wood paneling that looked like it came from your nan's living room, and a kids menu that hadn't been updated since the Falklands. Nothing was better after you'd been driving for 4 hours. It was a place where no one would judge you for ordering a fry-up and a milkshake at the same time. But love doesn't always translate into survival. Little Chef's slow collapse began quietly, barely noticeable at first, a few closures here, a few bad reviews there. But behind the scenes was a corporate circus of ownership changes that stripped the chain of its soul. In 1996, Little Chef was owned by Forte Group, which was then taken over by Granada, that same Coronation Street producing media giant which would later become ITV plc in a massive merger. After that, it ping-ponged from company to company, Compass Group, Amira, the People's Restaurant Group, and then private equity firm R Capital. Each owner promised a turnaround. Each one came in with a strategy, a consultant, a 5-year plan. And each one failed. Each one failed because none of them understood Little Chef for what it was, a weird, beloved institution. Every owner was treating it like a failing spreadsheet. Menus got more generic, prices crept up, branding started to feel lost. At one point, management even tried a tie-in with Burger King, which only led to confusion. For the staff, it wasn't easy. Many had worked there for years and watched the place change hands, each time with new rules and new uniforms, but fewer customers. Morale dipped, and with fewer training resources or investment in staff, service quality dropped too. By 2005, after years of decline, Little Chef had dropped to around 234 outlets, almost half of what it once was. The menu was stale, the decor hadn't changed in decades, and the service, well, let's say it wasn't quick. People weren't stopping in anymore, not when newer, shinier chains like Costa, Pret, and McDonald's were popping up at every motorway junction. Then came the infamous Heston Blumenthal experiment. In 2009, Channel 4 aired Big Chef Takes on Little Chef, where the culinary mad scientist tried to revive the brand at a single location in Popham. The idea was to give the menu a gourmet twist, update the interiors, and breathe some life into the tired chain. At first, it actually worked. Customers liked the changes. Heston kept the soul but gave it a facelift. He reimagined classics like the egg and chips and turned it into a thing of beauty. The place even smelled better. It had custom scent diffusers in the lobby to evoke the smell of bacon and coffee. But then, corporate inertia kicked in. R Capital, the owners at the time, hesitated. They didn't roll out the changes chain-wide. They worried it was too expensive. They didn't want to alienate traditional customers. So instead of riding the momentum, they stalled. One location was transformed while the rest remained in their 1990s time capsule, and the public noticed. If anything, the experiment showed what could have been, not what was. Meanwhile, the travel landscape changed. Britain's roads were no longer dominated by drivers who needed a sit-down meal. Fast food became king. Coffee culture exploded. People didn't want cutlery and menus. They wanted a drive-through latte, a Greg's sausage roll, and back on the road in 5 minutes flat. Little Chef didn't adapt. Instead of evolving with the times, it clung to its past. The logo stayed the same, and the outlets looked worn out. The final nail came in 2017 when Eurogarages, owners of petrol stations and service stops, acquired Little Chef and swiftly decided to rebrand every remaining location. Most were converted into Starbucks, Greg's, or Burger King's. Others were shut entirely. So why didn't it survive? Part of it is timing. Little Chef thrived in a pre-internet, pre-Google Maps world when people relied on paper maps, stopped when they were tired, and trusted brand familiarity. But as GPS made travel more efficient and smartphones offered better food options nearby, the need for a static roadside diner shrank. People could look up reviews, check star ratings, and avoid the grimy bacon if they wanted to. Convenience became smarter, and Little Chef wasn't smart enough to keep up. The other issue was brand confusion. In trying to appeal to everyone, the truckers, the families, the tourists, they ended up pleasing no one. Too slow for a fast food crowd, too bland for foodies, too inconsistent for loyalists. Every ownership shift came with new promises and new gimmicks. One year it tried to be retro, the next year modern British. By the end, it was neither. It was a limbo of microwaved lasagna and broken coffee machines. The saddest part is that Little Chef probably could have survived if it had leaned into its nostalgia, gone boutique, maybe even pivoted to a kind of kitschy British heritage diner. Imagine if they'd marketed themselves as a retro stop with vinyl booths, jukeboxes, and limited edition menu throwbacks. It might have tapped into the same energy fueling the revival of vinyl records and Polaroid cameras. Instead, they chased modernity half-heartedly and got overtaken on every lane. Today, the only traces left are old road signs, faded memories, and a few surviving Olympic breakfast plates people sell on eBay. Occasionally, you'll see a converted building that still looks like a Little Chef, even though it's now a Costa or a Shell garage, but the spirit's gone. The little man in the chef hat retired. So here's to Little Chef, a greasy spoon that became a cultural landmark, then got lost in the fast lane of corporate takeovers, changing tastes, and missed opportunities. It fed the nation, bored the nation, and eventually got buried by the very roads it once ruled. Whether you loved it or loathed it, there's no denying it was a part of British road trip history. And now, it's another lesson in what happens when a brand loses its identity, ignores its customers, and assumes loyalty lasts forever. But what do you reckon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell so you don't miss any more proper deep dives like this one. Cheers for watching, and we'll catch you next time.